So we are what we eat. That's what we say anyway. And a new year brings a new food focus, a change of palettes, plates, and flavors. It's fun to look ahead, right? To call out what's coming, and we do it on Studio 5 every year. In 2022, you'll remember we leaned into island flavors and treated our taste buds to subtly sweet and tart hibiscus. But this year, according to our food editor, it's all about foods that are real, recognizable, and foods that bring on the joy. Studio 5's Chelsea Fairbourn is here with the top food trends of 2023. You've done the peering into the crystal ball.
Yes, my crystal ball has revealed so many things.
Are you excited about this year?
Yes, it's a little funky, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the things were unexpected, but they make sense when we talk about those overarching themes of real and recognizable, things that bring joy, and then there's a lot of creative, I guess, open to interpretation and implementation for how this is going to actually look. Some of these are pretty early adopters, so to be determined how they creep in there, but I'm excited about it, and I love food, and I love new food, so
she's here for it.
Equal opportunity food lover.
I did a quick scan before the show of your list, and the very last item in particular had me gut laughing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Spoiler alert, well, not spoiler alert.
It's coming.
I'm not gonna spoil it.
It's coming. Okay, the first trend you're seeing is actually one that Utah is ahead of the game on.
Yes.
Non-alcoholic beverages.
Non-alcoholic beverages. So we've got that on lock. We've got our soda shops. We know and do it well. This speaks more to the recent surge in Pinterest searches for mocktails. So we've kind of dabbled in that as well, but we're seeing this nationwide that people are reaching for, they're calling it the sober craze, that they want something that still has the fun of those cocktails, but without the alcohol. So for us, what that will look like here locally is probably more mocktail options on menus. So formally listing that rather than you having to modify if that's what you're about. And then just creeping into some of those recipes at home that you can incorporate.
Yeah.
And there's also probably going to be some dry bars. We've already seen a couple pop up in Utah County and in Park City where there's no alcohol served. It's a social lounge with some of those mocktails. So like an upscale swig lobby.
I heard about one actually down on 900 South, a dry bar. And I was like, what is that? But now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Mocktails and socializing.
And it is funny, every once in a while on social media, I'll see an out-of-state friend or a contact or someone I follow say something to the effect of, did you know you could put coffee creamer in your cola?
Yes.
And the rest of us are like,
obviously. Well, and as I was doing some research for this and looking at articles, Utah was referenced over and over and over again as, oh, the swigs, the Sodalicious, the fizz.
We've been knocked in the past for being behind the trends. We are so ahead of this one.
Years ahead.
Yeah.
Maybe a decade.
Next up, dates are the new natural sweetener of choice.
So this plays to the real and recognizable, that rather than reaching for an artificial sweetener, trends are kind of predicting that we're going to use the natural foods and ingredients to pull in. So dates as that sweetener, that sugary source for desserts, for treats, for just regular entrees. They could be the star of the show themselves. This is still one of those to be determined, but it popped up over and over and over again as an ingredient that's going to be a staple looking forward to next year.
I can't bring a date to my palate. You know what I mean?
I compare it almost to like a raisin.
It's right. It's just like you have to think about it.
It's not something that we ever talk about.
Right. Okay, there's a new superfood in the mix for 2023.
Yes, so this is where it gets a little funky, but I like it. So kelp. Kelp as in seaweed. We're gonna incorporate it.
Okay.
And that is something that they call it the superfood of the sea. I would compare it to when kale broke onto the scene years ago and we were like, what's kale? What is this? That I think we'll see that creep in, but less as a salad staple and more as like a starch. So a kelp pasta, maybe how we're incorporating it rather than that's the base and we're adding on other leafy greens and
a kelp pasta. Yes. Interesting.
And so think of, this will probably tie in with the island flavor from last year as well, and then some other Asian foods will be the most natural adaptation of using kelp.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see how this one kind of peaks in. I mean, kelp chips probably.
Oh.
I think Trader Joe's is going to have a heyday with kelp. I don't know what they're going to put it in, but I'm anticipating it.
I can see the hand-lettered chalk signs now.
Exactly.
Outside TJ's.
Yes.
You say it's not just the food that's changing, but how we're cooking you predict will change dramatically this year.
And this is something we've already seen a little bit, that social media, well for me for sure, is my source for recipes. And so what I think we'll see is more of that, but then I think we'll see the platforms kind of rally behind this trend of, okay, you're seeing foods from start to finish, how that's playing out, the assembly process. I use it because then I can gauge whether or not I can actually make it, if I'm capable of making it. And then, so I think you may see some social media platforms adjust how you can export captions as a recipe or slow down and rewind the feed. So this will play out on Instagram with Reels, on TikTok, on YouTube, I think is going to be a huge one. And I think you may see it in products too, how you can incorporate tech more in the kitchen. So tech stands and in place of a cookbook holder and just some of those things that are going to adjust and cater to. We're reaching for our phone to cook.
It's super interesting. We actually had this conversation among our Studio 5 social media team just a couple months ago, like how can we make those Instagram recipes more accessible for a cook at home who wants to touch them, feel them, try them. So there you go. Social media, the new cookbook. You say our restaurant options are going to expand as well. We've seen a huge push toward like vegan-free options in the past. How will that change over the next year?
Yeah, so we've seen it with like gluten is a huge example of this. Like gluten-free foods, it was
that's what I meant, not vegan-free.
Okay.
Sorry, gluten-free.
You were teasing ahead.
Thank you.
Vegan and plant-based are the direction that we're going. Gluten-free, I mean, 5 years ago, it was really hard to find restaurants that met you there to get gluten-free options. And plant-based and vegan options are kind of going to be that new norm. That as people are reaching for the raw and recognizable, that you're going to see more little asterisks on menus that say, okay, this is plant-based, this is vegan, it's whole foods, and you may even see more restaurants that are popping up that cater just to that. Because people are leaning in a little bit more.
So what we saw with the gluten movement, excuse me again for that, we'll see maybe in the vegan or plant-based world. All right, about a minute left. Here's the shocker for me, mostly because I detest them. But the fact that this is a trend, pickles.
Pickles.
It's the year of the pickle?
Yes, it is the year of the pickle. And this will probably last for a while, so I'm sorry, but it is what it is. So pickle flavoring will be a huge thing. Lay's kind of tested the waters last summer with pickle-flavored Lay's chips. So we'll see that a lot. Trader Joe's is also already having a heyday with this, with pickle falafel. But I also think you'll see kind of like sourdough of 2020, where we were learning how to make sourdough, make breads. I think pickling, so the act of pickling something will become a big thing. So pickled veggies, pickled onions, and doing that at home and recreating it. I think that's our skill that's going to be put to the test in the kitchen, and unfortunately for you, the flavor. Fortunate for me, I do really like pickle and dill.
When pickles go up, smooches go down. So we're killing the romance for 2020. I would kiss my husband all day, every day until he eats a pickle, and it's all over.
Well, there you go. So pickles will not be for everyone, or
Chelsea doesn't have commentary on that. She's just going to let that one land. Chelsea, thank you so much. Food trends to look for in 2023.